Hey, shalom, shalom from your Dutch Uncle John, here to tell you what it is with some mathematics in the Bible. I mean, the greatest mathematician ever is God, and he has woven his magic throughout his Bible. And he has a few numbers that are particularly his favorite. And we're going to cover some of those today. Some of this you've seen before in previous videos. A lot of it is new, and let's get started. Okay, the three big numbers that he uses all the time are 1, 3, and 7. Let's start with 1. Now, the Hebrew alphabet, if you remember, has 22 letters. Okay, and each letter has a name. It has the sound it makes. It has an ancient pictograph, it has a meaning, and it has a gematria. The Hebrew word gematria means geometry. And the geometry numbers run 1 through 10 on the first 10 letters. Then they jump 20, 30, 40, 50 to 100, 200, 300, 400 is the final letter. And you don't have to remember all these right now, but just know that they exist. You're going to see them here soon, and you can always revert back to this chart. Okay, here's a close-up of the first three. Aleph, Bet, Gimel. Aleph is obviously 1, Bet 2, Gimel 3. And Aleph, remember, is the head of the ox, strength. It's God's number. He's going to be first. He's number 1. In fact, there's a verse that every Hebrew says, every Jew says every morning and every night. It's called the Shema. It's Deuteronomy 6:4. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Okay, I just want you to know, I believe there is one God. He says so right here. If you're Jewish and watching, we Christians believe there is one God. Okay, we shall move on. There's not much more to say about that. There's one God. That's why we're going to use, the number 1 is so important in everything that we're going to do today. And that first letter, Aleph, Aleph is a letter and it's a number. Okay, and it's a word. Aleph is spelled Aleph Lamed Pei. If you put in the gematria values for the spelled out word, Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30, Pei is 80. The word Aleph adds up to 111, which is going to lead us to our second number today, which is the 3. Notice, Aleph adds up to 111. There's 3 of them, right? Let's start in Genesis 1:1. You know, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Well, there is a mistake already. There is no "the" in that sentence, okay? So, in beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim va'et haaretz. Let's look at the third word here is Elohim. Elohim is God's name, title. Okay, he is Elohim. Sometimes he goes by just El. Elohim is an Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yod, Mem. If we put in the gematria values, 1, 30, 5, 10, and 40. Okay, now we said that God is one, but he manifests himself in 3 different persons. A lot of people call this the Trinity. I don't like that word Trinity. He's not 3 gods. He's one God who is in 3 persons, which is not, it's hard for us to understand this, but it's not irrational in that God is holy. God is unique. God is one of a kind. God is something special that no one else, nothing else is. So his one of his super qualities is he can be one who comes in three. All right? And there's many examples. We're going to cover a lot of them today. We also, someday in the future, I got a really nice talk on the complex unity. That's the name we like to call, we don't say Trinity. He's a unity, he's one, but it's a complex unity. Okay? But in the threeness of God, just look at a triangle. There are certain numbers you need to make a triangle, right? You need 3 dots to make a triangle. You need 6 dots. You need 10 dots. And each time you want to make a bigger one, you just add a bottom row, and then you would add 5 and get 15. Add 6, you get 21. Add 7, you get 28. 36, 45, 55, all triangle numbers. If we take his title, Elohim, and this is his power title, this is the one we see right off the get-go. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Take the first 3 letters of his title, Aleph, Lamed, Hey. Aleph 1, Lamed 30, Hey is 5, adds up to 36, which is a perfect triangle number. If you take the 3 middle letters of his title, it's Lamed 30, Hey 5, Yod 10, adds up to 45, a perfect triangle number. Take the final 3, Hey is 5, Yod is 10, Mem is 40, adds up to 55, a perfect triangle number. There is a lot of threeness in his being, okay? It's not surprising his name shows, or his title shows up the 3rd word in the first verse. Bereshit bara Elohim. And, you know, if you wanted to make a universe, scientists say you need 3 things. You need time, you know what that is. You would need space, and you need matter, right? Stuff, matter. And to create these 3 things, to have these 3 things all show up in the first verse, notice, Bereshit is the first word. It means in beginning. There's your time. God created Hashemayim. Hashemayim is space. Va'et haaretz. Haaretz is the earth. This is matter. All the stuff that we make comes from the earth. So there's a threeness in his being, and there's a threeness in his creation here. And notice that each of the 3 things that he created are also a threeness. Time is past, present, future. Space is length, width, and depth. Matter is solid, liquid, and gas. So we do have a threeness involved in this. Also, you'll notice the first 3 letters of the Bible, of the first verse, the word is Bereshit. It's Bet, Resh, Aleph. Bet is the first letter of the word Ben, son. Resh is the first letter of the word Ruach, spirit. And Aleph is the first letter of the word Abba, father. So he's hinting that there is a threeness there, the Father, Son, and Spirit. And if you miss it in the first word, you'll see it again in the second word, because the second word is bara, to create out of nothing, and bara is spelled Bet Resh Aleph, again pointing to Son, Spirit, Father, Ben, Ruach, Abba. In Genesis 1:26, it says, Then Elohim said, Let us make man in our image according to our likeness. He's using plural pronouns here. So another hint that there is a plurality to Elohim, because it's Elohim said. I know a lot of people interpret this that he's talking with the angels or to the angels or he and the angels, or no, it's this complex unity picture. Okay? And in the very next verse, Genesis 1:27, it says Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So you've got 1 minute he's talking plural, 1 minute he's talking singular. Okay? And this he that we're talking about, who is he? Well, once man is created, he now no longer goes by Elohim, he goes by Yahweh Elohim. He introduces a name. Okay, he's got a name, Yahweh, Yud He Vav He. And Yud He Vav He is a very, very cool word. It's made up of the letters Yud, He, and Vav. And if you put these together or split them out, I guess, the word for is Hoveh. The word for was is Hayah. The word for will be is Yiyah. And if you take he was and he is and he will be, again, a threeness, past, present, future, and you take those three verbs and smush them together, you get Yahweh, which means in Hebrew, he is. Again, pointing to his complex unity, three, Father, Son, Spirit. We've got lots of verses in the Bible that point this out. In Psalm 103:19, it says, the Lord has established his throne in heaven and his sovereignty rules over all. So we have Elohim, or Yahweh, on a throne in heaven. And in Genesis 18:1, it says, now Yud He Vav He appeared to him, Abraham, by the oaks of Mamre, while he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. So now you have Yahweh showing up as a human. He was a human. It said three men came, and one of them was Yud He Vav He. And Abraham prepared meat and milk and bread, and they ate. So he shows up as a human being. And in Jeremiah 23:24, it says, can a man hide himself in hiding places so I do not see him, declares Yahweh? Do I not fill the heavens and the earth, declares Yahweh? Here we have Yahweh is everywhere. He's filling the universe. So which is it? Is he on his throne in heaven? Is he a man on earth? Or does he fill the universe? When we say he's a complex unity, this is only God can do this, that he can be three places at once in three different forms. Okay? We do not believe that there are three gods. There is one God, three persons. And we go with so many clues in the Bible to this point. Isaiah 6, starting in verse 1. In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, lofty and exalted, with the train of his robe filling the temple. Seraphim stood above him, each having 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called out to another and said, holy, holy, holy is Yahweh of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The angels, when they sing holy, 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 3 times. Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. And by the way, that word seraphim is a plural word. It ends in yud mem. A seraph is a high-ranking angel. The seraphim are the angels. That's plural. And notice, you put that yud mem on the end of a word, it makes it plural. And God's title, which we learned right at the beginning, was Elohim. It ends in a yud mem. Very nice. In Revelation, we see it again. Chapter 4, starting in verse 8. And the 4 living creatures, each one of them having 6 wings, are full of eyes around and within. And day and night they do not cease to say, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God, the Almighty, who was and who is to come. There it is. Again, who was, who is, and who is to come. And when the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who sits on the throne, to him who lives forever and ever. Again, pointing to Yahweh, is, was, and will be. Even Yeshua, Jesus, when he was hanging on the cross, it says, in about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you forsaken me? He's quoting David's prophetic outcry in Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why did Yeshua say it twice? Because Yeshua is the third. He's the Son. He's the God manifest as a human, the one who was having lunch with Abraham at the Oaks of Mamre. And he's calling out to the other two, my God, why have you forsaken me? Okay, we showed you, Aleph is 1, and its gematria of the word is 111, which 111 is 37 times 3. Well, this leads us to our next magic number, is the 7. Okay, so you're going to see these three numbers, 1, 3, and 7, woven into everything. 1 is, there's one God. The 3, he manifests himself in 3 persons. And the 7 is going to represent his perfection, his completion. Okay, he puts 7 of something together, that's perfect. Okay. We see it in Genesis 1:1, Bereshit 1:1. There's 7 words, Bereshit, bara, Elohim, et, hashemayim, va'et, haaretz. 7 words, which that corresponds nicely to the menorah. The menorah is the 7-branched candlestick. Notice that it fits so beautifully there with Genesis 1:1. If you count the letters of Genesis 1:1, there are 28 letters. 28 is divisible by 7. Even the structure of the sentence, you have the words, the third and fourth word, Elohim and Et. There's 7 letters there. That's God and the untranslatable Et, which is Yeshua. Et, that little word in the middle, remember, Aleph, Tav. Aleph is God, Tav is the cross. Aleph Tav is God on the cross. Aleph Tav is the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Yeshua said, I am the Alpha and Omega. Yahweh said, I am the first and I am the last, and there is no other God besides me. He talks about that in Isaiah, Isaiah. The fourth and fifth words is Et Hashemayim, contains 7 letters. The last 2 words, Va'et Haaretz, and the earth, contains 7 letters. There's going to be a 7-ness running through everything in the Bible, which we're going to cover nicely here. The first 3 words of this verse, Bereshit bara Elohim, contains 14 letters, divisible by 7. The last 4 words, Et Hashemayim va'et haaretz, contains 14 letters, divisible by 7. Here, just a refresher of the gematria values. Notice they run 1 through 10, then they jump by 10s, 20 up to 100, and then they jump by hundreds, 100 to 400. Okay, just a little reference back for those new to the show. If you take the gematria of the first letters of the first and last words, well, first letter is Bereshit is Bet, first letter of Haaretz is Hey, Bet is 2, Hey is 5, gematria adds up to 7. If you take the gematria of the last letters of the first and last words, the last letter of the first word is Tav, 400. The last letter of the last word is Tsadi, which is 90. 490 is divisible by 7. If you take the first and last letters of every word in the verse, it adds up to 1,393, which is divisible by 7. 7 times 199. The nouns in Genesis 1:1, well, that's Elohim, that's the heavens, Hashemayim, and it's Haaretz, the earth. The nouns contain 14 letters in the Hebrew, divisible by 7. If you take the gematria of the nouns, Elohim adds up to 86, Hashemayim 395, Haaretz 296. The total of the gematria of the nouns is 777, which is 7 times 111. There's our 3 and our 1 and our 7 all being incorporated. In fact, 111 is 3 times 37. So the gematria of the nouns is 7 times 3 times 37. And not just in the Bible, but just in life. There are 7 days in the week. Why? Because in Creator Week, God put 7 days in the week. There are 7 colors in the visible light spectrum. The rainbow, right? Remember Roy G. Biv? 7 letters in there representing red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The visible light spectrum is massive, or the light spectrum is massive. The visible light spectrum is very narrow, the amounts that we can see. And in those 7 colors, you have 3 primary colors, yellow, red, and blue, right? And from those you can mix to get the others, right? Yellow and red is orange, red and blue is purple or violet, yellow and blue is green. You know, they mix and match to form all the 7 colors. There are 7 notes on the music scale. Again, 7, 7, 7. And 3 of those 7 notes, there are 3, not 3 of the notes, but 3 accidentals. You have sharps, flats, and naturals. So again, the 3 and the 7, it's just woven into life, okay? If you're really into music, there are 7 modes used in Western music, okay? And here they are listed. The average human body temperature, 37 degrees Celsius. And let's go back to Bible examples. My goodness, they're everywhere. In Genesis, Bereshit, he uses the number 7. Here's a list of a bunch of them, of times where he actually uses the number 7. Okay? In Exodus, 7s are everywhere. Here's more examples. In Leviticus, here are all the references. You can look them up, and in every one of these verses, it has the number 7. In Bamidbar, Numbers, there's even more 7s. In Devarim, Deuteronomy, more 7s. And this continues all the way through the Tanakh. It continues through the Gospels, the writings, and Hitgalut, the Revelation, the Apocalypse. 7 is woven throughout the Bible. And these are some very blatant examples where he actually has the number 7. He has other 7s that are woven in that are, you have to really have studied to uncover the deeper ones, okay? A few of my favorites are, you know, when Moses went up on Mount Sinai to get the law, right? The 10 Commandments. Do you realize he actually made 7 trips up and down that mountain? God called him up. God made the offer. He went down and gave the offer to the people. The people accepted. He went back up, told God, and God sent back down and told them to stay away from them. I mean, we're going to do a whole talk on just the 7 trips up and down and their prophetic significance. Because it's just, you know, we just think he went up, and Charlton Heston went up as Moses got the tablets and came back down. No, that was not biblical. I mean, he did go up and get the tablets, but that was only one of the 7 trips up and down to get the tablets and to get the law for the first covenant, which the Jews broke. Moses then went up an 8th time to get the second set of tablets, and that's representing the new covenant, which was not broken and will not be broken. And that's the covenant in Yeshua, Jesus' blood, right? That's the sacrifice that saves us from hellfire. You get it? But it's very interesting that unless you were really noticing and writing and studying that he made 7 trips up and back, okay? 7 times Yeshua claimed, I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, truth, and the life. And I am the vine. 7 times. Very nice. You know, there are 7 Marys in the Brit Hadashah in the New Testament. Very nice. Here's a list. You can look them up yourself. 7 times Yeshua Jesus bled. He was circumcised on day 8. In the garden, he prayed so intensely he sweat blood. He was arrested and they flogged his back and it bled. They put a crown of thorns on his head and it bled. They nailed his hands and it bled. They nailed his feet and it bled. And they put a spear in his side after he was dead and outpoured blood and water. 7 times. You know, there were 7 people who proclaimed Yeshua Jesus innocent. Judas Iscariot in Matthew 27 said, I have sinned, betraying innocent blood. Pontius Pilate said, I find no fault in this man. Luke 23. Herod Antipas in Luke 23 said, nothing worthy of death has been done by him. Pilate's wife said, have nothing to do with that just man in Matthew 27. The thief on the cross in Luke 23 said, this man has done nothing amiss. The Roman centurion in Luke 23 said, truly this man was righteous. And the Roman guards in Matthew 27 said, truly this one was the Son of God. You know, those are all scattered throughout the Gospels. And unless you realize and add them all up, but there are 7. These are the hidden 7s. I love the hidden 7s. How clever they are. And when Jesus Yeshua was hanging on the cross, he made 7 statements. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. He said to the thief next to him, today you shall be with me in paradise. He said to his mother and to the Apostle John, behold your son, behold your mother. He cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? We talked about that, quoting Psalm 22. He said, I am thirsty, in John 19. He said, it is finished, in John 19. And in Luke 23, he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. But 7 utterances from the cross. And not just in the New Testament and the Old Testament, in the Apocalypse, in the Revelation, there's 7 churches written to by Yeshua. The church at Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. And these 7 churches prophetically make up the church age. Please, if you haven't seen the Revelation 1, 2, and 3 videos that I have out, that explain, they're long, it's over 3 hours, but it explains beautifully how these 7 churches prophetically prophesy the future. All right, very nice. And the Paul, his disciple or apostle, what is he, apostle or a disciple? But his follower, Saul of Tarsus, who became Paul, and spread the gospel to the Gentiles. He wrote letters to 7 churches: Ephesus, Philippians, Corinthians, Galatians, Romans, Thessalonians, and Colossians. And those 7 churches that Paul writes to, they correspond to the 7 churches that Yeshua writes to in Revelation chapter 2 and 3. You'll see that in that video I just referenced, the Revelation 1, 2, and 3, 7 churches. Let's go back to Genesis 1:1. Notice the second word has 3 letters. The next two words have 7 letters. The 6th word has 3 letters. And the 4th and 5th word have 7 letters. Notice there's an order to the verse with the 3, 7, 7, 3. And if you take that number 3773 and divide and break it down into its factors, it's 7 times 7 times 77. Wow. The first 3 verses of the Bible contain 3 cubed words. 27 words, 3 cubed. The next 7 verses contain 7 cubed letters. So verses 4 through 10, 343 letters. The rest of chapter 1 contain 3 times 7 verses, 21 verses. There's an order not just in the first verse, there's an order to the first chapter. There's an order to the first book, to the Torah, to the Tanakh, to the whole Bible. It's a 1-3-7 woven throughout. By the way, we mentioned that the first 3 verses have 27 words. 27 is tied in, even though there's a 2 in there, 27 is tied in closely because it's 3 times 3 times 3. His complex unity cubed. Okay? In fact, if you take 1 and divide it by 27 on your calculator, you'll get 0.037037 repeating forever. And what's clever is if you take 1 divided by 37, you get 0.027027 repeating forever. Very, very clever how these all unite. And if you take 27 plus 37 plus 73, 73 is just the 37 backwards, you end up with 137, our super magic number in today's video. These are all related. If you multiply 137 times 73 times 37, you get 370,037. Okay, let's take the entire Genesis 1:1 verse. All 7 words, put in the gematria of all the letters, add up the gematrias of all the words. The gematria of the whole verse is 2,701. Take 2701 and its reflection, just write it backwards, 1072. Add them together, you get 3773. We said that the triangle numbers, right, here are the triangle numbers. The 1 they consider the first triangle number, then 3, 6, 10, and on and on. And we also said that the first verse had 7 words and 28 letters. There's a connection between the 7 and the 28. If you want to know what is the 7th triangle number, here's the little magic math formula that you use. T to the n equals n plus 1 times n divided by 2. So if I want to know what is the 7th triangle number, I take 7 plus 1 times 7 divided by 2. Well, 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56 divided by 2, 28. Notice the 7 and the 28 are related, and the first verse has 7 words, 28 letters. And it's a triangle number pointing to the complex unity. The 7th triangle number has 28 points. Okay? If I want to do the 73rd triangle number, I can use the same formula. 73 plus 1 times 73 divided by 2. That's 74 times 73 divided by 2. 5402 divided by 2. 2701. That's the total of Genesis 1:1. 2701 is the 73rd triangle number. The total of Genesis 1:1. How beautiful is that? This one's one of my favorite. I've shown it to you before, but we'll try to go through it quickly. It says, "It is he who made the earth by his power, who established the world by his wisdom, and by his understanding he has stretched out the heavens." It says that God, he established the world using his chakma, is the Hebrew word for wisdom. Chet, kaf, mem, hey. if I put in the ordinate values of Chakma, this is where does it show up in the alphabet? Het is the 8th letter, Kaf is the 11th, Mem is the 13th, He is the 5th. The ordinate values add up to 37. The Gematria values add up to 73. If I multiply 37 times 73, I get 2701. In the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. His Chakma, His wisdom, established all of this world. How beautiful is that? Wow, that is really cool. Hexagonal numbers. Hexagonal numbers, the first one is 6. You need 6 dots to make a hexagon. If you want to make a bigger hexagon, and what they'll do is they start the bigger hexagon, mathematicians do this, sharing the same point. So here you see the 6, and then you make the bigger one around it, which just each line extends one longer. The second hexagonal number is 15. The third hexagonal number is 28. If I want to jump ahead to the 37th hexagonal number, it's 2701. And it's the 37th. There's the 3 and 7 again. Okay? Star hexagram numbers. You need 13 dots to make a Star of David. A star hexagon or hexagram. Okay? If you want to make a bigger one, you need 37 dots. If you want to make a bigger one, you need 73 dots. If you want to make a really big one, you need 337 dots. You see the 1s, 3s, and 7s are all being woven in here. And in Genesis 1:1, there's 7 words. Let's just look at the 2nd, 4th, and 6th words. These are the even words. The second word is bara, adds up to 203. The 4th word is et, adds up to 401. The 6th word is vaet, 407. The total of the even words is 1011, which is 3 times 337. And 337, we said, is a large star hexagram. Okay? And so 3 of them, you got 3 large stars of David here. I think one of them is pointing to the Father. The blue one may be up in the air. You have the red one is the Son who's come down to earth and shed his blood as our perfect korban. And you have the yellow gold as the Holy Spirit being sent out to find a bride for the wife, for the Son. How beautiful is that? Let's have a drink for that one. By the way, today's drink is brought to you by, I think this is a J7 brand, pomegranate, and I think these are black currants. And we spritzed it up with a little 7-Up. We're still in Kyrgyzstan, by the way, for those keeping score. Okay, now let's look at the odd words of Genesis 1:1. The first one is Bereshit, and it adds up to 913. The third is Elohim, adds up to 86. Hashemayim, the heavens, is 395. Haaretz, the earth, is 296. The odd words of Genesis 1:1 adds up to 1,690, which is 10 times 169. And 169 will make a nice, perfect hexagon. And so 1690 will make 10 nice, perfect hexagons. And if I take the even words and the odd words and put them together, I get this beautiful image of Genesis 1:1. It's symmetrical on 3 lines. Again, you have the Father up, the Son coming down, the Spirit being sent out. Just a beautiful representation of Genesis 1:1. Here are the totals of each of the 7 words in Genesis 1:1. Okay, Bereshit is 913, bara 203, Elohim 86, Et 401, Hashemayim 395, Va'et 407, and Haaretz 296. Notice that that last word, Haaretz, is 37 times 8. That gives you 296. So that's divisible by 37. Very clever. And the previous word was Va'et. Va'et is 37 times 11, equals 407. Very clever again. If I take Elohim and Hashemayim, those together add up to 37 times 13. How nice, they're divisible by 37. If I take Va'et and Haaretz, together they are divisible 37 times 19. If I take four of the words, take Elohim, Hashemayim, Va'et, and Haaretz, I get 37 times 32. Here are four more examples of combinations of Genesis 1:1 words that are divisible by 37. And here are five more. And here are five more. In fact, there are 23 combinations of Genesis 1:1 words that are divisible by 37. That mathematically is unbelievable. I think there should be, and if you pick out 7 random numbers, the chances of combinations of them being divisible by 37. 37, remember, is a prime number. This is just such an odd number. Numbers to be divisible by 37, I think there should be 2 or 3. Here we have 23 combinations. Okay? And what's really cool is, in all of those combinations, the word Bereshit shows up 12 times. And in all of those combinations, bara shows up 12 times. Elohim shows up 12 times. Et shows up 12 times. Hashemayim 12 times. Va'et 12 times. Haaretz 12 times. Notice there is an order. There's an order to how many of each. I mean, it's just mind-blowing that this happens. And pay close attention to these four. Those four, let's enlarge it here so you can see which ones those are. Okay, those combinations, the first one adds up to 37 times 21. 37 times 21, by the way, is 777. The next one, 37 times 24, is 888. 37 times 27 shows up twice. You get 999 twice. 2 different combinations. That's pretty cool. Let's look at 777. 777 is 21 times 37, which is 3 times 7 times 37. Nice. And 777, if you remember, that was the gematria of the nouns. All right. 888. Well, you know, we talked about this gematria in Hebrew. Well, the Greek alphabet also has their version of gematria. It's called isopsephy. Okay, and here's the Greek alphabet and its corresponding values for the letters. And Yeshua's name in Greek is Eusus. And you plug in the values for Eusus, it comes up to 888. 8, remember, is a new beginning. Okay? And 888 is 8 plus 8 plus 8 times 37. So 3 8s. Very nice. Let's just go on a little rabbit trail here for the 888. You know, Aleph is 1. But the Jews also use Aleph for 1,000. Okay, the numbers. And then Bet will also represent 2,000, and Gimel can represent 3,000. Okay, they put a little mark after it to signify that it's going to the 1,000. But, and 1,000 we know is 10 times 10 times 10. There's a cube picture there, which is 3 plus 7 cubed. Elohim, we've said, adds up to 86. And Yahweh, remember, Yahweh is how we started addressing him after man was created. He was Elohim all through Genesis 1, and then once man is created, he's Yahweh Elohim. And Yahweh adds up to 26. And Yeshua adds up to 888. And I claim, and Christians claim, and I believe, and it is true, that Yeshua is Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh, remember, the hand reveals, the nail reveals, is the breakdown of those letters. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Yud is hand, Hey is revelation. Vav is nail, Hey is revelation. The hand reveals, the nail reveals. Yahweh is Yeshua. Yeshua is Elohim, is God. And if you add all three of these together, they do add up to 1,000. Aleph, pointing to Yeshua, is Yahweh, is Elohim. Beautiful. On the 999s, which showed up twice in the multiples of Genesis 1:1 words, that's 27 times 37 will give you 999, which is 3 cubed times 37, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 37. Very nice there. Okay, let's take the values of the Genesis 1:1 words. Okay, these are the word totals of the 7 words. And that first one is Bereshit, 913. Let's take the digits of 913. 9 plus 1 plus 3 equals 13. Bara is 203. That's 2 plus 0 plus 3 equals 5. You understand what I'm doing here? 86 for Elohim is 8 plus 6, 14. Et, 401. 4 plus 0 plus 1, 5. Hashemayim, 395. 3 plus 9 plus 5 equals 17. Va'et, 407 is 4 plus 0 plus 7 equals 11. Haaretz, 296. 2 plus 9 plus 6 equals 17. Take those new digits and add them together. 13 is 1 and 3. 5 stays 5. 1 and 4 is 4, 5. 5 stays 5. 17 is 1 plus 7, 8. 11 is 1 plus 1, 2. Haaretz, 17 is 1 plus 7, 8. Add all of those broken down digits together and you get 37. He's got 37s woven everywhere in this book and in this verse. Very nice. We said if you add up the values of the 7 words, or all 28 letters, you get 2701. Take those values of each of the 7 words and multiply them together. You get, I don't know what you get, a million, billion, trillion, quintillion, 304 quintillion, 153 trillion, 525 billion, 784 million, 175,760. That's the product, the multiplying of all 7 words. If I take all of those digits, 3 plus 0 plus 4 plus 1 plus 5, you got the picture. Add up all the digits that make up that magic number, and it comes out to 73. There's our 3 and 7 again. Very nice. And that big giant number, 304 quintillion, etc., is also a multiple of 37. It goes into it, billion, I don't know, I mean, what is that? 8 quintillion, 220 trillion, 365 billion, 561 million, 734,480 times. Nice. He's got it everywhere. This one is cool. In Genesis 1:1, let's take each of the 7 words and their values, and let's break them down into their prime factors. Okay, the first one is Bereshit, 913. 913 is not a prime number. It can divide out, and it's 11 times 83. Bara is 203, which is 7 times 29. Elohim, 86, is 2 times 43, prime factors. Haaretz on the end is 296, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 37. Va'et, 407, is 11 times 37. Hashemayim is 5 times 79. The one that's left is in the middle, 401. 401 is a prime number. And what did we say about that middle word, et? Aleph, Tav. It's Aleph, God, Tav, the cross. God on the cross. It's Aleph, Tav, the first and the last. It's Aleph, Tav, sitting at the right hand of Elohim in the verse. Aleph, Tav is Yeshua, prime, unique, one of a kind. It makes sense. That's the only word in the verse that is a prime number. And it sits right in the middle. It's that center candle in the menorah, the servant candle that you use to light all the other candles. That's a picture of Yeshua, et, Aleph, Tav. And what's also cool is take those prime factors on either side of Yeshua. On the first side, add up 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 37 plus 11 plus 37 plus 5 plus 79. You get 175. If you add up the factors on the right side of Yeshua, Aleph Tav, 2 plus 43 plus 7 plus 29 plus 11 plus 83 also equals 175. Again, showing beautiful order to Genesis 1:1. Okay, well, let's move away from Genesis 1:1 for a second. Let's look at the entire Torah. You know, in the entire Torah, there are 304,805 letters. I'm going to take that number and write it backwards. When I write it backwards, I get 50. If I break it up now, 50, I get 84, and I get 3, and those digits add up to 137. 137, by the way, is the most common lifespan mentioned in the Bible. Genesis 25:17, and these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people. Exodus 6:16, these are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137. What's the next one? Exodus 6:20. And Amram took him Jochebed, his wife's sister, to wife. And she bare him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. The most common lifespan mentioned in the Bible, 137. And there's kind of even more hidden, you know, the genealogies. You had Noah is one man. He had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And they, if you go to Genesis 10, give you all the descendants of Noah, which those 3 boys ended up with 70 descendants. So you had 1 man, 3 sons, 70 grandchildren, 1, 3, 7. It's woven into the genealogy of Noah. It's woven into the genealogy of Adam, because Adam was 1 man who ended up producing the 3 patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. And when Jacob went to Egypt, in Genesis 46:27, it said, and the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2 persons. And all the persons of the house of Jacob who went to Egypt were 70. So again, you have 1 man, 3 patriarchs, 70 descendants, 1, 3, 7. It's woven everywhere. Genesis 17:17. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, will a child be born to a man 100 years old? And will Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? Remember that God promised these 2 a son. And Abraham is 100 years old and Sarah is 90 when Isaac is born. Amazing. And then if you jump down to Genesis 23, it says Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died at 127. Notice, Sarah died 37 years after she had Isaac, right? She had him at 90, she died at 127. And the sages claim that this sacrifice that Abraham took Isaac up onto the Mount Moriah to sacrifice him, when she heard this, this is what caused her death. Okay? Because God's told Abraham, take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Yitzhak, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will tell you. So, if that is what caused her death at 127, that means Isaac was 37 whenever he was taken up there, and Abraham was 137 when he took Isaac up for the sacrifice. And that seems very logical. Y'all remember the Pythagorean theorem? Pythagorean theorem, as some in the world say. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It only works in right triangles. If you have one side is 3 and the other side is 4, you can figure out the long side, the hypotenuse, by multiplying 3 times 3, 3 squared, plus 4 times 4, 4 squared. 9 plus 16 equals 25. So hypotenuse C squared is 25. So C must equal 5, right? So it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Well, let's go back to Genesis 1:1. We're back there again? Yes, we're back there again. Notice the 28 letters in the verse. Let's cut off the first 3 and cut off the last 3. Okay, well, we are doing something in order. We're taking off 3 from both sides. The letters that remain, that 4th letter is a shin. The 11th letter is a lamed. The 18th letter is a shin. And the 25th letter is a hey. And so what I've done is I've looked at every 7th letter. All right, there's 7 between 4 and 11, between 11 and 18, between 18 and 25. So, looking at the 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th letters, I get shin, lamed, shin, hey. That spells sheloshah. That spells 3. How clever. The Hebrew word 3 is spelled out every 7 letters in Genesis 1:1. Very nice there. So let's take those 3 and 7 and let's plug them into a Pythagorean theorem. 3 squared plus 7 squared should give us C squared, the hypotenuse. 3 squared 9, 7 squared 49. 9 and 49 is 58, so C squared equals 58. So C is going to be the square root of 58. All right? Well, how does that apply? We'll go back to our, every 7th letter spells sheloshah. And every 7th letter we started at the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th, right? Every 7th letter. 4 plus 11 plus 18 plus 25 equals 58. It's tying the 58 in with the 3 and with the 7. It's showing you God knows Pythagorean theorem, and he hid that in Genesis 1:1. Let's go to, we talked about Jacob and the 70 that went to Egypt. You know, Jacob had the 12 sons, right? The 12 tribes, and he had one daughter, Dinah. Here are the names of the 12 boys that he had here. Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, Simeon. And here are their gematria values. Okay? If you put in all their gematria values and add them up, they add up to 3,700. 3,700. You know, I don't think when these women were having these babies, it tells you why they named them. You know, when Reuben was born, hey, behold a son. Behold, Reuben, son. That's why they named him Reuben. Simeon, God has heard, Shema, Shema Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Shema means Simeon. Okay, or Simeon comes from Shema. The Lord has heard my prayer and given me a son. Okay, God has judged me, so I will name him Dan. Dan means judge. Okay, these were all named for reasons. Okay, and yet their gematria values, I don't think these women were thinking, okay, well, let's name them things that so that everything adds up to 3,700. But God, in his wisdom and his miraculous ways, wove the names or had them named or whatever, that they all added up to 3,700. What are the chances of this? In fact, if you take the 12 boys, Reuben, just by itself, Reuben adds up to 259 gematria, which is 7 times 37 equals 259. The three across the bottom, Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, those three add up to 888, which is 24 times 37. The two yellow, Simeon and Naphtali, add up to 1,036, which is 28 times 37. The green, Zebulun and Issachar, is 925, which is 25 times 37. Judah and Gad, just those two alone add up to 37. Judah's 30, Gad is 7. That's 1 times 37. And the purple, Dan and Asher, add up to 555, which is 15 times 37. All the boys add up to 3,700. Very nice. Okay, you know, the first three letters, the Aleph, Bet, Gimel. Aleph, we said, is God, right? It represents the Father. And Bet is the house that God came to live in on earth. That is the body of Yeshua, Jesus. And so Bet represents the Son, Ben. Bet represents Bar, Son, okay? And the red, I made it because the red blood, that points to Yeshua. If the Aleph is God the Father and the Bet is Yeshua the Son, you know, it just makes sense that the third one, the Gimel, would be the Holy Spirit. And we've covered that in the Akedah video and other videos, that camels, whenever camels show up, that's a picture of the Holy Spirit. And Gimel, its picture is a camel, all right? That's the word, Hebrew word for camel is Gamal, okay? It's spelled the same as Gimel. And Holy Spirit, Gimel, connected. If you take the word Gimel and spell it out, the Gimel it's Gimel, Mem, Lamed. Gimel is 3, Mem is 40, Lamed is 30. The word Gimel, Holy Spirit, adds up to 73. Again, woven into it. If you take a cube, okay, a cube has 8 little boxes, okay, at any one time, I don't care how you look at it, you can only see 7 at one time. Okay, very nice. If you take a bigger cube, 3 times 3 times 3, there's 27 cubes in a bigger cube. And I don't know if you remember, God has a desire to live in a cube. When he built the tabernacle, there was the whole tabernacle complex. There was the holy place, and then there was the Holy of Holies behind the veil where the Ark of the Covenant was. And that Holy of Holies, its dimensions were 10 by 10 by 10. God wanted to reside in a cube. When they built the temple in Jerusalem, there was a holy place, and then there was the Holy of Holies behind the veil. And that was 20 by 20 by 20, a cube. The New Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven, in Revelation. It's what, 1200 by 1200 by 1200. It's a cube. God wants to reside in cube. Okay? And here, 3 by 3 by 3 cube. Okay? Here, 19 are visible at a time. What else? A 4 by 4 by 4 cube ends up having 64 little cubes. And no matter how you look at that, you can only see 37 at a time. 37 visible at one time. Amazing. If you take a 4 by 4 by 4 cube and subtract a 3 by 3 by 3 cube, 64 minus 27 is 37. They just keep showing up. These 37s, they're everywhere. Again, let's take the boys here. This list of boys is these are the sons of Jacob that his wives actually had, these 12. The ones we saw earlier, we took Levi out because Levi became the priest. And we took Joseph out, and remember, Jacob adopted 2 of his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. So that became the new list of 12, and those all added up to 3,700. This is the ones physically born. So Levi is in here, and Joseph is in here, and Ephraim and Manasseh are not. Okay, so you take this list of 12 sons, they add up to 3,182. All right, well, that's an odd number, and I put their names here in a Star of David. Okay, well, we know Elohim was 86, right? That's God. And I think God is definitely involved in the birth of these 12 boys, because 86 times 37 will give you the 3,182. Okay? If you take these 4 boys, it's 1147. If you take these 4 boys, it's 1147. If you take these 4 boys, it's 1147. Well, there's some order there. And we said Elohim is also El. That's his short name. El is 31 times 37 will give you 1147. El is involved. You take these 4 boys, Reuben, Simeon, Gad, and Joseph, they add up to 888, which we've already said is Yeshua's number, 888, and that's 24 times 37. These 3 boys add up to 888 also, which is Yeshua. All the middle ones add up to 1,480. 1,480 is 40 times 37, and the word Christ, Christos in Greek, adds up to 1,480. So you take these 2 together, you've got Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, shows up in these names of these boys. Beautiful. Jesus, and the resurrection and the life. Oh, speaking of life, chlorophyll. You know chlorophyll. This is the stuff that's in leaves, right? It makes them green, and it absorbs the sunlight, and it converts light to life. It's the molecule, okay? And chlorophyll, its chemical makeup, what a chemical symbol is, it's got some carbon, 55 atoms of carbon, 72 atoms of hydrogen, 5 atoms of oxygen, 4 atoms of nitrogen, and 1 atom of magnesium. You mix all that together, that's how you get chlorophyll. And total, chlorophyll has 137 atoms, converting light to life. Very nice. So, all right. You know, we could go on and on and on, and we probably will on a part 2 at some point of math in the Bible and all the 1s and the 3s and the 7s, because they are endless. But we're going to stop here and just take a break. Only so much math before your head explodes. Thank you so much for watching. To God be the glory. To God be the honor. To God be the praise. And we will see you soon. God bless. Bye-bye. Wait! We have a bonus. And I think there might actually be two bonuses here. You know, we talked so much about Genesis 1:1 and all the 1s and 3s and 7s that are involved in there. Let's look at Genesis 1:1. Here are the letters that are used to write Genesis 1:1, right? There's an Aleph, and there's a Bet, and a Hey, and a Vav, a Yod, Lamed, Mem, Sadi, Resh, Shin, and Tav. He used 11 of the Hebrew letters to write Genesis 1:1. Let's look at the letters he did not use to write Genesis 1:1. The Gimel, the Dalet, the Zayin, Chet, Tet, Kaf, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei, and Kuf. Here are their gematria values. Their gematria values add up to 411. The letters not used in Genesis 1:1. 411, by the way, is 137 times 3. Even the ones he didn't use incorporates this. And if you put 4 and 11 into a Pythagorean right triangle, 4 squared plus is 16, plus 11 squared is 121. 16 and 121 is 137. So the hypotenuse is the square root of 137. Wow. How clever. By the way, these magic numbers, 37, 73, 137, these are all incredibly special numbers because they are called Pythagorean primes, which means you can form a triangle where the two sides are nice, pretty whole numbers. And when you do the Pythagorean formula, the hypotenuse ends up being the square root of one of these three numbers. So you can make a triangle where one side is 1, one side is 6. 1 squared plus 6 squared is 1 plus 36, 37. That's how you do a Pythagorean triple with 37. 73 is also, if you make a triangle 3 by 8, a right triangle, 3 squared is 9, 8 squared is 64, 9 plus 64 equals 73, so the hypotenuse is the square root of 73. 137 can be formed with a triangle, a 4 by 11, we just saw it, with the letters not used, right? 16 plus 121 equals 137. Square root of 137 is the hypotenuse. Amazing, amazing! And do you remember how you calculate the area of a triangle? The area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay? Well, we can do that nicely. Look at the first one. Half of the base is 6, half of that is 3, times the height is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So that first triangle at the top, its area is 3 square units. The red triangle, half of the base is 8. Half of the 8 is 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. The area of the red triangle is square root of 12. I mean, not square root of 12, it's 12 square units. The bottom one, 4 by 11. You can take 4 times 11 is 44. Take half of that is 22. The area of the gold, yellow, is 22 square units. Very nice. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to know the area of all 3 of these magic triangles, you just add them together. 3 plus 12 plus 22, 37. And one last one here. The word Israel. Israel. A Yud is 10, Shin is 300, Resh is 200, Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30. Israel adds up to 541, which, by the way, is a star hexagram number. You can form a Star of David with 541 dots. It's also a Pythagorean triple. You can plug in 10 on one side, 21 on the other side. 10 squared is 100, 21 squared is 441, 100 plus 441 is 541. Hypotenuse would be square root of 541. It even fits nicely. And by the way, instead of 10 squared plus 21 squared, you could do 3 plus 7 squared plus 3 times 7 squared equals the square root of 541. Very nice. Okay, God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.